GMAC.
GMAC.
This is Lost Paradigms. Oh, yeah. I'm ahead of myself. I'm announcing the guests already. That's how excited I am for our guests today. This is Paradigm Live, your weekly show to catch you up on all things CyberBrokers. I'm Mike, your friendly leftover and community manager.
And I'm Brianna. You know me as Lady Diamond Hand. You might see me in the CyberBrokers Discord. I help with marketing, lore, a bunch of other things on the CyberBrokers team.
And we've got a good one for you today. Mm-hmm. So let's get through all the basic stuff so we can get to Lost Paradigms.
Yes, exciting.
So let's talk about what CyberBrokers is quickly.
Mm-hmm. So CyberBrokers, if you're new here, we're a metaverse-native media and entertainment company, and we're working on building an entire universe through beautiful collectibles, engaging content, interactive experiences, and we're here to introduce you to our world, the Paradigm.
So check us out, our website called The Core. You're going to love your first experience there. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. And as a reminder, our CyberBroker collection launched in March 2022, and our Genesis Mech collection is imminent. Let's do a quick recap of what's coming up this week. And the first is 2 huge interviews. Josie's going to be on NFT Now today at 5:30 p.m. Central. So make sure to go to the NFT Now Twitter at that time. And we also have Josie on Daily Dose on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. So both Twitter spaces. Make sure to go there, set your reminders. There's also reminders in Discord as well. Our usual events this week, we have game night on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, and we have a creators call on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central.
And we have our weekly fashion and lore events coming up. So keep an eye out. We'll have a poll up on Twitter where we'll have a few options of different iconic CyberBroker style items. And you'll get to vote on which one you'd like us to turn into an AR filter. We've had a few out. You can check them out on our Instagram, CyberBrokers. And you'll get to actually vote on which one you kind of want to be able to use. And then on Wednesday, we'll actually have a whole lore event centered around the item that you chose, where you'll get to essentially create the story, the lore behind these items, which is really cool. Super casual, fun event. You can pop in and just kind of take a peek if you're interested. You don't have to be a writer or anything to participate. This is all about like kind of fun, world building, things like that. And then we have our Fashion Friday. So you'll get to actually try out that filter. So some exciting stuff. We've got lore covered. We've got some cool tech stuff. I'm excited about this series that we have going.
Do we know what the AR filter choices are for this week?
I haven't posted them yet. Actually, this week we'll be posting our lore item from last week, which you'll be excited about, Mike, is our 90s hat. So
the bucket hat!
Bucket hat. So
finally.
Live this Friday, which is really fun. So if you are not familiar with that, you can go to our OpenSea and search for it's called the 90s Called, I believe. And it's an awesome bucket hat that Mike actually has recreated IRL. Oh, there it is. You don't have to go to OpenSea to see it. So if you want a hat, but you had yours made, like Mike, we'll have the filter ready for you to try on Friday. So super excited about that one.
You know, I was thinking we need an AR. I wonder if you can do an AR filter of a can that you can someone could hold.
That's actually not about me typing to Ben, who does our filter. Just shooting my ideas.
We're all over the place as usual. Yeah, so can't wait for that AR filter.
Yes.
So let's talk about our agenda for today. So tell us about our guests.
Yes, so we have our Lost Paradigms team. So if you're not sure who Lost Paradigms are, they're a community-led project that was actually funded through our community fund. And they have created these awesome generative Twitter banners. They're beautiful. They depict different worlds and scenes from within the paradigm, which is our CyberBrokers metaverse universe. So we're super excited to have them on. There were so many little details that went into this project, and it's, I think, a really cool way to kind of dive into our world. So I'm excited to kind of chat about all these little details and art and everything.
Yeah. And then we have two kind of, I guess, reminders mostly. We're going to get into the Discord reminder here in a minute. And then also, if you're going to NFT Paris, NFT NYC, Consensus, or even thinking of going, we would love you to fill out our survey just so we have a better idea so we can plan for IRL meetups. So pop into Discord, the community announcement channel. There's a link to the survey there. Let's talk about Discord. So we've been hounding this reminder. This is kind of like claims. This is the new claims reminder. On February 20th, which is next week, we are switching away from Collabland to our own custom token gated bot. That does support delegate.cash, but you don't have to use that. So if you haven't yet, you need to take action before next week. Otherwise, you will risk losing CyberBroker role in Discord. And that role is going to become important as we start getting into version beta. So if you don't want to miss out on stuff, make sure to take that action. So check out the Delegate Cash channel in Discord. There's two options. You don't have to use Delegate Cash, although we will 100% recommend you do, but you don't have to. I think that we could just keep reminding people on this, right? That's just
always good to check in. Again, we don't want you to lose your holder access. We've got a lot of awesome stuff coming up, a lot of stuff in the works behind the scenes. So I want to make sure you have access to all of that.
Perfect. Okay, I think that might be the majority of stuff for today. And it is. So with that, I want to play a quick trailer video for Lost Paradigms. That's going to, the beauty of these things is amazing. So let's show it off. Okay, I love that. So welcome, Lost Paradigms team. Dot and Etta, you want to give us a quick overview of what Lost Paradigms is, and then maybe we can introduce everyone?
Sure. Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
I just look. I can listen to you talk about Lost Paradigms like forever, so I would love for you to do it.
Okay, right. So as Brianna said, we are a CyberBrokers community fund project. We're all about the immersive future world that we're building together, inspired by CyberBrokers. So we're supported by the community fund, but we are an independent project in our own right. So we launched in November, and it was a collection of 3,333 generative banners, visualizing scenes described in the world of the paradigm Lost. So each paradigm captures a moment that could materialize through the power of our collective imaginations. and each one is created in meticulous detail by some of the most talented artists I've met. So we've got Visual Swim, who does the scenery, and we've got Gabriel, who does the 3D vehicles and mechs. And all these scenes are in 4K high resolution, and they're designed to fit perfectly as social media banners, for example, Twitter. So that's a bit about us.
That's awesome. And it all started with a simple idea on a voice chat. And a lot of the people involved weren't, well, a few of the people weren't even CyberBroker holders at the time, right? You know,
that's right. Yeah, so it was a Visual Swim who created these amazing banners. He didn't have a CyberBroker, so that he felt a bit more included, I loaned him one of mine. I said, you can use mine as your avatar. So that was cool. And then he bought one himself that was very similar to that.
Yeah. Let's why don't we quickly introduce the team? So Etta, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do, and then we can go to Dot and Gabriel and Mike.
Right, so people in CyberBrokers know me as Etta. I'm also Bitcoin Madame on Twitter. I've been a massive Josie fan for years, and I do the sort of marketing and partnerships for Lost Paradigms project. And to me, it's not like a job. I just feel like I'm hanging out with all my friends. It's just fun.
Dot?
Yeah, I'm Dot the Bot. I acted as pretty much the project lead for the Lost Paradigms project, and that was largely because I got to be there right at the beginning when I know you were there, Mike, and Merck was there, and I want to say Diver was in that first call, and we were like, yeah, we want Twitter banners. And then just as people like joined in and shared their expertise, it was I got to kind of serve as like the glue that kept everybody communicating and just had all of the parts working together. Yeah.
Gabriel?
So yeah, I'm Gabriel. I was responsible for the hard work surface, that is like vehicles, robots, all kinds of like mechanical stuff on the banners that go together with the environments. So that's what I did, and it was like it was, I think, the most like I think rewarding job that I ever done. It was really great, and it was great to be surrounded by people like all well coordinated and working for the same objective. And yeah, it was. And the final result is I don't even have words to describe it. It's really surprising.
So just as a point, all of the objects you see, like the cars and the vehicles and the mechs, they're 3D assets. You're seeing them here in 2D, but you actually created them in 3D.
Yes. And the majority like are 100% like original work, exclusive made like for this project. It's on very few occasions that I used external files to create them. So the majority of the vehicles are all purpose built for this project.
So I think we just lost Mike. Not sure what happened there. The other team members, Visual Swim, is another primary artist along with Gabriel. Diver Dump was the website. Mike was contracts and what I forget Tip and Crew what they did specifically.
So Tip was instrumental in coding for the metadata randomization and then just linking it together. So he did Cody stuff, let's say Debbie Cody stuff. We also had Crew who designed the user experience. So he did like the front end design. Mike did the contracts with Diver Jump, and Diver Jump really kind of shipped like holistically a lot of different technical aspects of the project, including like the front end, a lot of the uploading and then linking things, and then he had a lot to do with the contracts as well.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start talking about these. Did you guys get a chance to pick some of your favorites I can pull up here?
Yeah, my favorite's number 4. Like I love that one, which is Moss Falls. So it's like the 4th most rare if you're on Vinny's site. And I love it because it's got the mech with the dog just looking over that beautiful Moss Falls off into the sunset. So
Yep.
that's
So
one of my favorites. I like the story. Yeah. I'm really into like, you know, it's got a mood. It's got like it's giving like a whole impression, a whole story.
So we should probably explain. Each of these has a very specific layout to it. So there's kind of like the road in or the path in. There's the 2 sides. There's the background. There's the moon. There's the sky. There's weather effects, and that's kind of what the generative part of the collection is, right?
Yeah, so there's made up of, there's like 9 different paradigms, and you could have the destination in the middle is like one specific paradigm, but the right-hand side of the image and the left-hand side could be completely different paradigms. So there were millions, I think it was 9 million.
Oh, no, way more than that, way more than that.
Yeah.
There was billions and billions, and I think close to 1 trillion, but I think some of the rules that were imposed later might have decreased that. That's a good tip question. He knows what all of but it was up there. It was a lot of possible combinations.
I see Mike back. You want to introduce yourself?
Okay, sorry about that. Do you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm Mike, and I'm a Solidity dev. So I helped with the Solidity, more contracts, and some of the back end work.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it still like thrills me that like minting my paradigms was so super cheap and gas. It was like
and smooth, right?
Yeah, and super smooth.
So Dot, you mentioned we have a bunch of different, quote unquote, we call them paradigms. I know you guys pulled some of these like kind of directly from the lore. Some of them kind of you guys developed on your own. If you wanted to maybe chat kind of about how you came up with these settings, and then how you went about visualizing them, because I think it was cool that there's some that if you read our CyberBrokers lore, like you'll recognize right away, like the Merkle tree. But I think it was awesome that you guys also built some of your own lore and story behind these.
So I was really fortunate to be in the writer's room. And there was so much talk at the time, which you know as well, Brianna, about like how the paradigm worked. And then in addition, it's not there anymore, but we had a community hosted Miro board where the community could share like what were their imaginings from the CyberBrokers as well. What were some of the things that they imagined the CyberBrokers universe going into that? And then it became like just these ideation sessions, largely with Visual and Gabriel, where it was about, these are the different things that are coming out of the writer's room. And then we would do like these pitch decks kind of things, like these little, where it was like, I was just absolutely taking from the writer's room chats as it materialized, what were these areas going to look like a lot with the Merkle tree. The other one, which we actually still have a lot of the assets, but it didn't end up making it in, was magnetic. There was a lot of that gone into magnetic cold storage. But yeah, that was basically, there was ideation and pitch decks that were just this blending together. And I got to really have a lot to do with that, which I feel really fortunate about. But the cool thing was Visual would just take this information and he really would just synthesize all of it into these. I don't want to mess up his words, but he would call it like a sense of presence.
I'm
These,
here.
like, space.
Hello.
Oh, visual. Yeah, then
Yeah,
he'd
I
be
just
better at
arrived.
talking.
Spirit of place, as they call it, or
Yeah. So
sense of
talk
place.
a bit about that, and just and it would just synthesize into these like gorgeous impressions. But I'd love for visual to talk about it, because he'll do about 1,000,000 times better than I will.
Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm sorry I'm late. London traffic / Valentine's Day pre-commitment. How you doing?
Well, welcome. Give a little
Hi.
background on yourself, and then let's hop back into the question.
All right. So my name's Visual Swim, or Tom, and I'm an architect, and also have been involved in Web3 for a couple of years now, and doing some design projects in my spare time as a kind of outlet for my creativity, and kind of fell into the world of the CyberBrokers and the Paradigm Lost, and with Dot, and had an amazing experience last year generating these banners that we're looking at the moment. It's really great to see them again with fresh eyes. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we were kind of talking about, the different paradigms and scenes, and kind of where they came from, and then how the words and descriptions turned into visualization. So how did you decide on certain things and looks and feels for each? And like we were talking about the Merkle tree specifically to start.
Yeah, there's a kind of collegiate atmosphere to that, or it's kind of got this institutional feeling, or there's this sort of this idea of some sort of ritual or sense of order in the Merkle tree, or when you get the more like one of one foreground Merkle tree, and there's that the symmetry is really important in that one. If you look at like some of the other ones, like the strip, there's like a lot more like chaos going on, and so yeah, it's just a lot of it was experimentation, trial and error. Some of it was happy accidents. But you have to really think about it as if it's a real 3D space that you're in, and you kind of lean on your experience with designing real spaces and places to do this. So yeah, but there's a lot more freedom in the metaverse to kind of do whatever you want.
The fun thing I love about the Merkle too is all of the samurai influencing, and because you have like the politicians, but a lot of things are getting held down by the samurai. So there was just this, and it just adds such a like elegance, and just that sense of officialness. It's like beauty and elegance meets like an official presence in the area. I thought all of the involvement of the Japanese architecture.
And Dot was really great at like setting up the prompts and working with myself and Gabriel, and like kind of imbuing the narrative and all the detail and the stuff that makes it rich, and making sure that came through in the banners. Like we were just like in a way kind of like messengers for a lot of Dot's ideas, which is really great. It was an amazing brief to have this. Not many times you get a brief like this.
I feel like there are so many little like Easter eggs. Like I remember on Mint Day, I was like kind of just going through them and like trying to like look at the little signs, and like I think you put a lot of thought into like making the scenes feel really alive. And if you kind of go and hunt through them, there's little nods to things that you can see from our lore, or even just like fun ideas that you guys came up with. I think those little details make such a difference, especially like in the scenes like the strip. Like they do feel like so busy, which is like, it's supposed to be like the hub, right? Like of the paradigm. You feel that busyness from looking at them, which is, I think, so cool.
they were the most fun bits to do with the Easter eggs, but they always came towards the end of each, as we designed each environment, and so you kind of had to push on and move on to the next thing, but you just wanted to keep kind of working your way down the detail and adding more and more and more and making it richer and richer. But there comes a point where you have to just step away, and as Dot would always say, you have to ship, and then you'd move on, and you'd have to live with it.
I just want to say that's with a P. That was SHIP.
Oh, yeah, you have to ship, not ship.
Yeah, it was amazing to see just on a weekly basis to see the updates and see the art. And I always look forward to that meeting on a weekly basis just to see what the guys had produced as the new output. And I think we probably just could have, the visual, it would have easily gone another like 3 months of trying to perfect things if we had let him.
Yeah, and looking at this one specifically, and kind of Brianna, what you were talking about. I mean, all the graffiti. You know, I see 1, 2, 3 different sets of graffiti. You know, the bike. You know, the little umbrella table and stand. You know, all the neon signs. You know, and you almost even miss the fact that there's a dog on the left hand side.
All of those little details, I have to say, were visual. Like, I mean, they're like the ones that are like Power 11, Hakutsu, Butterfly. That was a lot of input, but just these really, really great ones like Right Click Save, or I know there's like a crypto winter sale, and like the little dog off to the side. All of those little details that just are such cool polish were visual. Like, it was such a treat when I'd see them. You put a lot of work into those.
And overall, as a collection, it's something else I've noticed. You know, there's certainly, you know, specific traits per se, but you don't feel like they repeat. And I think it's because of the different scenes and the fact that when it does repeat, it doesn't look anything like it did in a different one.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Yeah, so there's like 14 different vehicles, but they could either be facing on, or they could be facing to the east, facing to the west, and each time it's got a different trait name, so it just gives it a total feel. So it's like Valentine's Day tomorrow, as we mentioned before, so I've been looking for the kind of more romantic looking banners to try and say, oh, it's like a Moonlight Drive, or you're in the sort of Cameron's Heartbreaker, Roadster, Soft Top, and all these kind of things. So there's a Paradigms banner for every occasion. We've got like red and green ones for Christmas. We've got like green and purple ones for Halloween. You know, there's always something that means something at different times of the year.
Yeah, the lighting is actually, like, you just brought up like the different coloring, but the lighting is all different in all of them. Like, you get a sense of like some feel like at night, some feel like more during like the morning, like even the lighting itself, which I'm sure you guys put a lot of thought into, like, how do you make all these look good in like different lightings? Like, I'm curious how long that took, because I know lighting is a big thing.
Yeah, it was quite tricky to find. You're trying to find situations that suit all the environments and every combination and every situation, and ultimately you can't do that. But we did our best, because in some of them you have missed, other ones you don't. But in a way, you just have to embrace the chaos and see what comes out. And the more you try to control it, the worse it will get. So you just have to kind of let the lighting and the environment do it. So you set up basic parameters. But I mean, my favorite are the rain ones. I just saw one flick up there on the screen. Yeah, ones like that. I really love those ones.
See, that's funny. There's ones I own that I want to de-rain.
You want to de-rain them? I'm so sorry.
I want to de-rain it.
I think they add like a sense of movement to it, or I guess it's about an emotional response, isn't it? And everybody has a different initial emotional response when they see like any image, and there's something that speaks to different people in different ways in all of them, I think.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not that it's not beautiful with the rain. It's just I would also love to see what it looks like without the rain.
Maybe you could have a dynamic, as an idea for a dynamic banner with changing weather conditions and that reacts to the different times of day.
And it's kind of interesting because there's I think there's 3 specifically that I have that have rain in them, and I literally can't find the exact same one without rain, which I thought was pretty cool. While I'm here, Gabriel, can you talk about the bike on the right? So here's another example of something hidden. That's a 3D asset you created, right?
Yeah.
And we can't quite see, but what are the stickers on that one?
Oh, there's a lot of references to CyberBrokers. The stickers that I use on the bike and on some of the Macs and some of the vehicles are all some of them are referencing the class that's represented by that vehicle. Like the cameras, and some of them are general references, like just CyberBrokers written, or general references to CyberBrokers.
Yeah, so there's the gene editor van, right?
Yeah.
And that's the camera car.
Yeah.
I think the gene editor is probably one of my favorite vehicles when it's facing away from the camera. But Gabriel, the Gunter's on the screen there. Gabriel, that's probably that's my favorite airborne or flying vehicle.
With the Bitcoin mask on the front, right?
I was going to say, where did you get the inspiration for that from? But obviously, we all know.
Yeah, yeah, it's and it was really cool because I had already done it's a 2-person transportation pod, kind of like an autonomous vehicle. I had already done it, and then I don't remember who gave the idea. I'm sorry, but gave the idea of turning it into a Gunter pod and making a reference to the Bitcoin mask on the front. And it was one of the best ideas on modifying vehicles that we had already done, and it was just great.
Yeah, if you want to see the vehicles, the 3D vehicles in 3D, then we've got a couple of galleries in the spatial metaverse where we've got the space shuttle pods, we've got the bicycles, we've got the mechs. You've got these giant mechs in 3D files. And so your avatar in the spatial metaverse can be looking up at this massive mech. It's just incredible. The 3D creations that Gabriel's done.
Yeah, dude, check out the Oros mask. Can you search for that? The Oros mech. Is there a way to sort for that on the Lost Paradigms tool? Yeah, you can. It's off to the right? Let me go look. I'll log on and look too.
Oh, right on that page?
Well, there's a big giant golden mech in the the collection. Sorry, I can get that out. In the collection, there's this giant golden mech that's pretty that I like a lot.
You only see its legs in the banner, don't you? Because it's so huge.
You know which number it is?
One where he's walking toward the destination. That's pretty cool. Let me see if I can find it too.
How do I get to the spatial thing here, Etta?
Oh, right, I'll send you a link.
And the fact that they are 3D assets is really cool, that you can visualize them on different platforms, and they can be added to galleries, they can be added to VR worlds, and the Bronco Brothers, for example, they were created in VR at first, sculpted in VR, and I could look at them as if they were giant robots. I could look as the same as a person would look up to a mech. So it's really cool to to have the freedom of just putting them on different platforms.
So I'm curious, how many of you had worked on an NFT project before? I'm assuming Mike, right?
Yeah, I've worked on a few projects before.
And Dot.
Yep. Yeah, I've worked on projects before. Gabriel as well.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Definitely Diver Dump, and Tip had as well.
I hadn't actually produced a collection before, or I'd done marketing material and content for Web3, a couple of Web3 companies, and helped people mint on a couple of projects. One of them I worked with Mike on. But yeah, my experience was fairly limited, and I had no idea quite what a big undertaking it would be to produce a big collection like this.
Well, there we are.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So this, could you describe, Etta, what this is?
Right, so this is the sort of, if you imagine if it's like a cinema experience, you're in the foyer just now. And if you were to go straight ahead, you could go down to the auditorium, which would give you all the information about the mint and things. So we could run videos in there to sort of demonstrate different things. I mean, it's quite a big spatial plot, actually. So there's, if you turn 180 degrees the other way, then you can go to the sort of more social bar area.
Okay, you're stressing me out. I have to navigate live in a metaverse.
You just keep walking.
Looks good.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that mask. Okay, sorry, we're not going to get distracted by that.
Yeah, sidetracked. Yeah, so you can see there's like some vehicles. Yeah, if you keep walking in that direction, don't bang into the table. Yeah. Like we've got a gambler's vehicle there.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
And if you go ahead, if you keep going straight ahead out onto the platform, there's a giant mech. I think I blew it up to 20 times its proper size. We've got like a tank. We had Ballistic Banana one time. I was hanging out with him in Spatial, and he was like sitting his avatar inside the vehicle. So you could just see his head poking out of the tank. It was just hilarious.
Where's the Gunter with the mask?
Oh, right. Now, is it a Gunter? I think it's maybe the leftovers pod that we've got in the gallery.
No gunting pod, right?
Oh, unfortunately.
I see another car, yeah, down there.
Oh, and there's the bike I was talking about earlier.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Details of these. And this is a mech laying down, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the transform mech. So it's really actually he's in the he's transformed into his transport.
Oh, cool.
He can transform into like a little pint-sized, battle mech. Well, not pint-sized, but not quite as big as the mechs that are that we're minting soon.
Here's a better, closer-up view of the pod.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm distracted. Butterfly, squirrel. So let's talk about, if you want to find out more about this project, where would you go, Etta?
Well, yeah, just look us up on Twitter at Lost Paradigms. That's probably the best place. Send us a DM, tell us how you're doing, ask us questions, anything like that. Sometimes I'm hanging out in the Spatial Gallery. We've got the website, but there's not a lot going on there because we've minted out. But yeah, Twitter's probably the best place to get hold of us and hear any news of what we're up to and other projects that we might be thinking of starting.
And there's also a link to the OpenSea collection right from Twitter. So if you want to go
that's
and buy
in the bio.
you can do that there. Coming back to the multiple sides, could Could you describe, I know you had to create some custom scripts to get this all out of Blender properly and into a rendered collection of these. Could you describe how that got done?
Well, it's a Python script that a guy called Fruitzeus has wrote, and it's actually designed for making PFPs. And what it does is it randomizes traits. So you could model a body and a head and a set of sunglasses and some arms and legs, and you would build 5 versions of each trait. And then it essentially rolls a dice for each trait and randomizes them and puts them together. And what you can do is you can set rules. So you can say, I never want gold sunglasses with big hair or whatever traits you've got. But I saw this and thought, well, I think we can use this to build a generative banner collection. And I see things in, because I don't know how to make PFPs, but I know I do architectural visualization anyway in my job, and I kind of saw some potential to use the script in that way. So we just started experimenting with this Python script in Blender, and it would generate each banner in 3D and stick them all together. And then essentially you would take a picture of that and it would render out that picture to generate a banner. And we would do that. I think we did 32 to 33 test generations before we got to the final collection. And each week we'd do another iteration and we'd do another test and see what it would spit out. But the rules really made it complicated, and we would apply rules about which environments or which traits we didn't want to see together. And it ended up taking about a week for the Python script to resolve all of the rules and give us the number of banners that we wanted. Which
spit out what you wanted.
Yeah, which is insane, really. We had like 3 different machines. We had like people with Mac M1s running it. I was running it on my tower. I think Dot was looking at Arweave, and like we were just, it got a bit hectic, but we got there in the end. Very high risk. It didn't crash. It worked.
That period of the project, I actually almost want to go and apply for jobs just so someone will ask me the question, what's a time where you hit a blocker or a problem in a project? And what did you do to solve it? I feel like I'm ready for that question now.
I think I've got PTSD after that.
Yeah, I mean, so much was hinging on our ability to complete all the renders in time.
Yeah.
Well, clearly this is a little more complicated than a PFP project. So
I have a question. So as you mentioned, you guys kind of all found each other. Like, I know a few of you work together, but you guys all kind of joined together like through the CyberBrokers community to kind of create this. So do you have like something you learned or any advice you'd give to someone maybe who has an idea and they like kind of maybe don't know where to start, or kind of, have just the inkling of the idea and they don't know how to expand on it? I guess any advice you'd have for future creators who are looking to do something fun, because you guys are the success story. You guys all came together and made this awesome project.
I think. Go on.
I mean, I'll pass it on to Visual. One thing that I don't want to go unnoticed is reach out to Mike. I can't, it is innumerable how many times Mike pulled things together, helped me push through blockers, was just everything from being like a hardcore telling me the truth to being like a big cheerleader. I feel like if you want to launch something, sitting down with Mike and talking to him about it can add a lot of clarity and, just give you kind of like the wherewithal to kind of push forward, talk to the next person or whatever.
Thanks, Dot.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely have that coming.
I was going to say that you kind of need to know, you need a team like around you, and you need to, there's so many people in the background who are doing such amazing work that people won't necessarily see, but none of this would have happened. Like, I was blown away by like like Etta's work on the consistency on the Twitter and just like the way she dealt with everybody. Then you've got like Mike and Diver. The devs are like wizards making all this stuff happen. They just go away and write this code, and like they would just pull all these banners, and then they would just speak in this other language. And it's just about knowing where your expertise ends and someone else's starts, and don't try and do everything yourself. Like build, like, and I guess fundamentally it comes down to your network, and if you burn bridges, then you're not going to be able to rely on that. But I think Base 64 was such a great hotbed of talent and creativity, and everybody pulled together, and CyberBrokers with Etta and Diver Dump and Gabriel joining. But yeah, I just say, just build a good network and create a good team.
Yeah, the people were super instrumental. I mean, when you think about how much talent we had on it, Base 64 was huge. I remember G Money was there in the beginning too, like just really going around and getting Base 64, like, hey, this is going on in CyberBrokers, like, let's go support. And a lot of the team is Base 64, Tip, you, Mike, me. So I think that's part of it. Yeah, that's lucky. Also, we're super lucky with Diver Dump, who is like I do think of him as a wizard. I hope I never meet him. It's like he's one of those people that's, you know, living in Hogwarts and just creating blockchain magic. Yeah, so I think we were super lucky. Like the team is crazy. Gabriel just eats, breathes, and lives like modeling Blender assets and mech type Blender assets, and visual is legit like an architect who knows how to create digital spaces. So yeah, that's part of it, is we just have a lot of this team. But that's why I go back to, like, Mike, you're really plugged into where there are talents within the community. Yeah, so I think like just being able to have people in the community that can connect you with the other places that you need. So like build a project, figure out where do you need people to plug in, and then talk to Mike and the people on the CyberBrokers who are Merck is another one who's very like plugged in to what talent is in the community, and Base 64 members in the community, and kind of like, yeah, try to plug in where there's people that have the skills you're looking to supplement.
So we'll plug the creator call there. So creator calls Wednesday afternoons. Got an idea, come in there, chat, drop the idea in the creator channel. A great way to get started. And you don't need the technical expertise to complete an idea. You just need to start with telling us the idea, right?
I got something to add from a developer perspective too. I mean, so this wasn't my first project, but there was a first project that I worked on not too long ago. Like everybody in this space that's a developer only has so many years of experience because it's only been around for so long. But for me, I've been in crypto for a very long time, but it took me it wasn't until meeting with people in the NFT world that I started actually writing code like Solidity and like diving in, and it was just just taking that step of trying. Like if you're a developer and you haven't done Web3 stuff, it's not that hard to pick it up. I mean, it's just like some different specific things you need to understand and learn about, but it's the same type of skills you can apply, like that you have learned elsewhere that you can apply here. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of jumping in and trying it.
Was your first project was Interactive Flow, Mike? That's correct,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So that happened in Base 64 too, and it was just Delso is also a member of the CyberBroker community. Wanted to do was playing around with generative art, and I was interested in deploying a smart contract. So we kind of got together, and he was able to do this amazing digital art, and I was able to to deploy the smart contract.
Yeah, I think that is what Mike was saying there about it's about finding what you're interested in and what you're passionate about, and the niche that you're like, the expertise you've got, and the intersection between the two in Web3, and bringing them together and seeing what unique perspective that you can offer people that kind of differentiates you from the sea of other people out there who want to make it, as it were. And I think that sounds like that's what Mike's talking about with Delso as well. And myself with the architecture thing and doing this 3D stuff in Web3. Not that I've made it by any means, but
I would say arguably, if there's somebody that wants to build something that arguably it might be good to not have technical expertise.
yeah,
Because I feel like my lack of technical expertise means that because somebody has to do the stuff and everybody doesn't want to do. So it actually almost helps to not have technical expertise, but share a vision with people that do, because then you go and do all of the things that need to be done to get the project shipped, as it will. And to give room to the people with more technical skills to be able to deliver on that. So if you don't have technical skills, it's almost like that's a skill you can bring to the table. You can do a lot of things that aren't technical and fall kind of outside of the realm of what are the technical abilities of other people that might build with you.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have ideas, but again, think, oh, just because I can't execute it, I don't want to know how to bring it to life. And I know that's a big thing that we've pushed, like the creator calls and the community fund. So like, I love the idea of, not being being afraid to, put your idea out there and kind of see if you can find the right people and finding your niche. So I know we were so happy with like how you guys executed this project, and it's just been beautiful art. That's, I think, a great representation of CyberBrokers. So I just hope other people, you have an idea or you're like looking to get involved and like do something in Web3, I think our creator calls and our community fund is a great place to start. And we're like looking to help support people. So so happy that we have you guys to show as like an awesome, like end result of what happens when you have an idea and you follow through on it. It's great.
Yeah, well, we're so grateful to the CyberBrokers team and community for supporting us. I mean, we could never have done this on our own. And I think, I'm a community builder. That's my sort of background in Web3. And we were given a massive head start by being able to drop the word CyberBrokers in anything that we were doing. It's because everybody's heard of CyberBrokers. Nobody's heard of Lost Paradigms. So if anybody else has got a new project, you must try to partner and collaborate with other projects. And it's the quickest way to build your recognition in the space.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's like something I've learned from this project that I think is super valuable to people that want to build in Web3 is build for a community you believe in. That's been such a gift with CyberBrokers and Base64 of like, when there's like-minded people and you believe in what they're doing and their vision, building on that is an excellent way to what would you call that? Just shorten that getting your word out there, explaining to people what you want to do and why it's worthwhile. Do it for a community that already exemplifies those values, that are already establishing what it is you want to see in Web3 and what you want to do. And you're short-circuiting like having to explain that. And that's so valuable, I think, in this space when things have to move quickly.
Yeah, Mike, do you want to talk about what Base64 is quickly?
Sure. So Base64 is a community of, it's many things, but it's primarily an alpha group. We are a group of NFT degens, I guess, that started from the ... community. That's a PFP that I have. And we were a part of that group, and we basically came together and spent a lot of time solving puzzles. So similar to what happens in the CyberBroker community. So I think groups of people that spend time trying to solve puzzles together become like really strong communities because you spend a lot of time talking to each other on voice or otherwise, and that's how Base64 started. But yeah, it's an alpha group, and it's just a group of people that are like-minded Web3 natives, and so we've just got a lot of skill sets. So we've done some consulting as a group, and we've launched some projects as like a group, and people within the group have found each other to launch projects as well. So it's just say it's generally a great Web3 community.
Awesome. Got a Twitter handle?
Yeah, Base64 Alpha.
Perfect. Thanks.
We just launched the project yesterday as a group. Well, me and Mike and a few of the other guys. And this is a shameless plug, but it's called dream.exe. And it's Mike, can you very succinctly explain what it does?
Oh yeah, actually, this would be quite interesting, I think, to the CyberBroker audience. Yeah. So you guys have probably heard of all the craze that's going on with ordinals at the moment. Yep. So we were all looking at that and trying to see what was interesting and what wasn't. And if you've paid attention at all, ordinals are basically NFTs that are issued on the Bitcoin blockchain. But there's a lot of limitations of what you can do there on that chain because, well, there's no marketplace, there's no smart contracts, there's a lot of things are missing. And ultimately, like, we think that ETH is a better place for doing that sort of thing. So we launched an NFT that is basically Viz's amazing art, and it's on chain, except that it's stored as an ordinal. And the difference here is that we sent that ordinal to Satoshi's wallet. So that ordinal can never move again on the Bitcoin chain. So it's basically static. And basically we've used Bitcoin as cloud storage, like similar to Arweave or IPFS, where it's not an NFT on the Bitcoin side, it's cloud storage and it's on chain. And now we've pointed our NFTs metadata to that. And at the same time, we actually, in the image that's stored in the ordinal, we've encoded the smart contract address on the of the NFT. So it's bi-directional in terms of it's pointing to each other. So it's just an interesting experiment that we were playing around with, but it's an alternative approach to what CyberBrokers have done, where they've stored all of the images on Ethereum. So it's a similar idea, but now it's stored on Bitcoin, where it's more.
Got a website or Twitter account for that?
What is our Twitter account is Dream Executable, and our website is dreamexe.xyz.
Yeah, I was just there at the beginning of this. I was like trying to discover more and learn. So I'm glad you're explaining it.
I would love to go down that path because I have so many questions on ordinals and whether you can call them NFTs or not. But let's come back to Lost Paradigms.
For sure.
Because that would be like a whole 2-hour session. Ballistic has a good question here. With the space moving so quickly, did the direction of the project turn out as originally planned or different? And if so, in which way?
So the original planning, it's really hard to say. I would say that it turned out a lot more than I personally had originally planned. And that had a lot to do with Visual, who I think probably had his own idea of what he planned, but I saw it more, not to get too technical, but at a high level, I saw it more that like you would render different parts and then just layer those PNGs over one another. And Visual really had this image, this like, he kept talking about like the volumetric parts of a scene and how like just everything that Lost Paradigms has as far as like how different atmospheres really do affect the picture. I think that was something that he saw in the beginning of wanting to go for. And it's way up, it's like a 10x of what I had imagined.
Yeah, I mean, originally the what we were thinking was just like a CyberBrokers version of Midnight Breeze. And I never had pictured in my mind the complexity or like detail in which Viz had come up with. Yeah, so it blew me away in terms of like what the end result was.
How about you, Visual?
What is a good question. I guess what happened differently. I think it just grew and grew and grew, and like the scope of it increased more and more, and I'm so pleased with the outcome, particularly now looking back at it today. It kind of surpassed what I thought we were all capable of, and I do think personally that what we've done is something quite different and quite unique, and has innovated in Web3, or within the banner space anyway. Like I haven't seen people use it in this way, so I feel like we have contributed to like Web3 culture and NFTs. I'm really proud of that. And yeah, the probably the thing that surprised me most was just the friends that we all made along the way, and the people we worked with, and just learning from all those other people as well.
I want to give another question. I want to read to you, Visual. I know the answer I have about this, but your answer matters too. Are there any thoughts or desire about doing another collection like this, but using some of the new worlds that are coming out in version beta?
I saw that pop up, and I was like, I better get my answer lined up. I mean, I'd never say never. Like, I would never say never if the time and the energy felt right. That it's something that it's a bridge that we could cross, because I'm sure there's a lot more story to tell in Lost Paradigms for sure.
I got on that question. I got the impression that talking with the team, as after delivery, that doing the same thing might not be of interest, but changing the way things are visualized. So it wouldn't be a collection like exists, but it might be something that was more challenging and would be learning for the team. Is that kind of what I picked up at the end? Like the 3D versions and 360s and
yeah, I think it's about finding ways to flip things on their head and try and innovate in one way or another, whether it's with the smart contracts or whether it's with some sort of visual technique. And that we did hint at some stuff with the 360s, and we have a list of, I mean, I've always got a list of potential project ideas floating around in my head, and I'm sure most of the other people on the team do. There's a lot of potential for storytelling in interesting, unique ways. I feel like we could have jumped on the OE meta with the project and done some interesting in a different format, because I will say the widescreen format is great, but I love going into portrait and doing things differently. It would have been quite interesting to do that. But there's no reason why we couldn't do that. There was also we talked about doing, me and Gabriel talked about doing some one-of-ones at one point. But there's just so many different avenues to go down, and I'm sure other people on the team have got some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that everybody in the team has sort of agreed, it's like we spent so much time and well, we all enjoyed working together, like very much so, but there's so much time and effort spent in creating these assets that can be utilized in different ways. So it's just a matter of agreeing on what is the next thing that could be worked on, and using those.
Yeah. Also, I kind of love the idea. I love the idea of like building more of what's coming out with version beta. I'd really like to see the thing is that the Lost Paradigms really lucked out to get Visual on the team and Gabriel on the team, and there's like some like blood, sweat, and tears, like artistic blood, sweat, and tears that they poured into Lost Paradigms, and so it's really about, and this could come from the larger community of artists that are interested in tackling Blender, and including, and first and foremost, Visual and Gabriel. We have a lot of assets. We have a lot of that we've built already that can be added to and exemplified. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's got to be artists that see that as a possibility.
And also a lot of new CyberBroker 3D assets coming out in mechs too.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about that? Do we have time?
No. Actually, I was looking at the time and going, I'd love to do this for another hour. So I think we'll have to have Lost Paradigms team back, but we need to wind this up because we don't want these to be too much longer than an hour. So I think the call to action is go to the Lost Paradigms Twitter. So Lost Paradigms on Twitter. Check out the link there for the OpenSea collection. Go browse, go take a look. If you have any questions, you can DM, and I believe, Etta, you will be the one answering the DMs for the team.
Yeah, I'm always there, 24/7.
So, thank you so much for coming on. I want to book another one of these because we just touched the surface. And now that we can record these, I want these to sit on YouTube, for forever to kind of document everything that occurred here. Because clearly Lost Paradigms was an amazing success, and the fact that it started almost immediately after CyberBrokers launched is another beautiful part of it. And I love hearing when you talk about the people just as much as the project, because that's what I think CyberBrokers is about, the community aspect of it. Brianna, anything you wanted to add in there?
No, it's just, as always, so nice chatting with everyone, and just hearing the backstory behind this is always so cool. So, like Mike said, excited to have you guys all come back. I mean, we can cover some of the millions of other things we didn't even get to touch on today.
And hopefully, maybe the next one you'll have an idea of a next project, and we can talk about that. So thank you, everyone. This has been Paradigm Live for the 13th of February. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.